My name is Diego.chicas, and I'm going to explain one important subject that is intonation in English. So let's start. First of all, we have to understand what is intonation. Well, intonation is a melody of language and it's made of pitches that rise and fall. And what does that mean? Well, it's about the quality of the sound that it could be high or low, depending on the pronunciation of some words in some situations. When we use the intonation, then so we use the intonation like when we're trying to transmit our intention and our emotions, and also to replace punctuations. For example, like when we are being sarcastic, when we are hesitating about something, like we are confused, we are angry, like when we are surprised, that is the kind of situation that we use intonations. So why is important? Why is important to know how to use intonation properly? Well, basically to simplify it is because make our English more dynamic, interesting. Like people, when we are taught with other people, they know how to identify like we are trying what we are trying to say by listening to intonation. Like they can notice if we are angry or if we're being sarcastic or if we are surprised. So that's why it's important because mostly it helps us to transmit our ideas, what we are thinking, to express our emotions. So these are three important points. So to know about more intonations, we have to understand that there are like four kinds of pattern of intonations. The first one is falling, second one rising, third one not final, and wavering intonations. The there three of them are pretty simple, and I could say like no final. It got like different points, like we should know about it. To start, the first one we got falling intonation. Uh, this is why I say it's very simple. So to summarize this, we use falling intonation for sentence and information questions. And we use it, and we have to identify how we use it when we lower voice at the end of the sentence. Okay, when we listen to like that to the power of the voice. Okay, when we listen to the power of the voice and we identify that it's lower at the end of the sentence, that means that we are using the following intonation. So let's practice it. For statements, listen, my name is Diego.chicas. Nice to meet you. I'm going to the movies. I'll be back in an hour. Have a great day. And for questions, what's your name? Where does he live? Why do you do that? Who's that woman over there? How can I open this? So if you listen carefully, the intensity of the voice is lower at the end of the sentence, and is pretty much the same with the question, with the information questions. Um, it being it is a normal line. Let's say like it is a normal line. It's start like normal with a normal voice, and at the end of the sentence, it goes down. Okay, the intonation of the voice goes down, so it sounds like more. It sounds like low, like there is a diminution of the power of the sound at the very end. That's why we have to identify the following intonations. And for rising intonation, as the name saying, rise. So the rise, the pitch of the voice is at the end. And we use this kind of intonation for just no questions, okay? Let's do some examples. Are you American? Does she know about this? Can you lend me a pencil? Is the movie good? Are we leaving soon? And there is an important point. Rising intonation is also used in expression like, excuse me? Or really? Maybe when we are surprised, like, really? That happened? Or like when we are angry, excuse me, what do you say? So as you can notice, there is a difference between falling and rising. Falling, we use a lower intonation at the end, and for rising, we rise. We use like more power, like more in the sound at the end of the sentence. Are you American? If you listen carefully, like the intonation increase in the word American. No final intonation. So we have to be careful in these ones. In no final intonation sentence, the pitch rises and falls within the sentence. This type of information is used with unfinished thoughts, introductory phrases, series of words, and also when we express choices. So it's used for different things, as it say, unfinished thoughts, introductory phrases, series of words, and express choices. And it say rise and fall. So when it say rise and fall within it, that means like it will be some words in the sentence, like it will start like a normal with a normal voice, and then it will rise, and then it will decrease the sound of the words falling down. Okay. Let's see some example for unfinished thoughts. Okay. She bought the magazine, but she didn't read it. When I finished high school, I got a job. If I study hard, I will pass the test. I'm going outside for some fresh air. If you can identify by listening to the pronunciation of some words in the sentence. For example, in the first one, she bought the magazine, but she didn't read it. Magazine, she read the magazine. It started like normal, they would say magazine. The quality of the voice is high, and then goes down by when we say, but she didn't read it. Okay, so that's what that mean. Like it started like it started like powerful, it started with a big power. The sound we start like with a high intensity, and then it gets lower, like when we are continuing this pronunciating some words in the sentence. For introductory phrases, it's the same. Like we are going to use basic the same structure of, if we can say that, like it will rise and falls. Phrases like matter of fact, as far, I'm concerned, actually, my opinion, I don't mind, and by the way, that indicates that an action is not finished. So that's why we use no final intonation, because the action is not finished. Let's see some example. As a matter of fact, I don't know where she lives. As far as I'm concerned, she was not suitable for the position. Actually, the movie was pretty good. In my opinion, this car is a way too expensive. If you don't mind, I'm going to bed. I wish. By the way, I have you read the book I lend you. So it's the same pattern than the last sentence, the previous sentence. We start with a high intensity and it gets lower. And it's the same for this one, series of words. For example, I like playing football, tennis, basketball, and volleyball. If you can see, like the rising of the boys start in football, tennis, and basketball, and then the intonation falls on volleyball. Let's do the other examples. Sorry. Um, at college, I'm taking psychology, French, history, and linguistics. He left work. He came home, took a shower, and went to bed. I need rice, beans, lettuce, and sugar. It's a start with a high intensity and goes down. And it happens the same with when we are expressing choices. Um, for example, do you want to stay home or go to the movies? Are you going to travel in March or April? Do you speak Spanish or Portuguese? Is your name Mary or Mandy? Would you like cookie or some juice? Like there is a high intensity when we like identifying some words, for example, March or April, Spanish or Portuguese, Mary or Mandy, cookie and some juice. And this will help the other people to identify um, where you meaning to. And this is one of the simplest one, wavering intonations. So wavering intonations are used to express a specific emotion and attitudes within the word. You can express, for instance, surprise, anger, sarcasm, hesitation, fears, amazement, among others. Um, let's practice the first one. When you're curious, you did? You're curious. Very surprised. You did? Disappointment. You did? Angry. You did? In agreement. You did? When we want to say tense, a normal. Thanks a lot. Very happy. Thanks a lot. Sarcastic. Thanks a lot. When we say we're okay. Okay. Hesitating and when okay. Very excited. Okay. Frustrated or angry. Okay. And when we are showing like angry for saying no, 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 don't do that. No. When we are surprised, no, like it would be like, no way, no. When we are hesitant, like not like you can take a decision. So you're like, you don't know what decision to take. So you're like, nah, should I take that one? Nah, should I take the other one? Um, saying when you're being sarcastic, if you're like a sarcastic person, like, nah, nah. You're a sarcastic person? Nah. You know what I mean? Like depending of the situation, you use a different kind of intonation of it when you're trying to express different emotions, different feelings. So that's where you use the intonation, different like let's say intensity in the sound. That's what I say when it's sometimes you pronounce like with a high intensity, with a low intensity, and that make the different intonation, and that could represent different meanings for some words, for some like statements, depending of the intonation that you give to the sentence or maybe to the questions. So to make a summary of all, we have four kinds of pattern for intonation. The first one that was the falling, and the falling is it's a lower. Okay, it's like let's say like the power at the end of the sentence is like low, okay? There is not too much power on it, and it decrease. And for the rising, the power at the end of the sentence rise, okay? It's like use more power at the end of the sentence. And for the falling, we include like the information questions, and for the rising, we include the yes no questions, and there is that no final like we use for different purposes. But for that one, the principal things that we have to understand, it is like it start like with a high intensity and it goes down, okay? Like that's the more important thing that we have to know, and also identify when we use it, okay? We use for different purposes. And at the very end is this one, the wavering intonation that is most common to express like our emotions or attitudes. That it will be like it will be different meanings depending of the intonations. So to make it clear, intonations is used to express our emotions, to express our intentions, and to give a people um, an understanding about where we are talking about by using the intonation. That's why it's important to know how to use intonation properly and in a correct way, because people will know how to like they will know what you're referring to, and it will make your fluently of your English more like dynamic when you're speaking English. That is a big problem for all of us when we're learning. But I think that this is a very interesting topic, and I hope you understand more about it. For the very end, we got the reference, like I took the information on it. Um, Thank you, and I appreciate um, your attention.